YouTube, what is up? Coach Wiz, and we're back with another reaction video. Magic and Bird, a courtship of rivals. Y'all have requested this a lot. So we're gonna get into it. You know what I'm saying? It took a while for me to kind of find this one that wasn't getting like copyrighted claim and strike. So hopefully this one works. If it don't work, oh well. I'm just gonna post it anyway for y'all. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to hold on. 1 second. There was a what's your name? Uh Frank Randall, shout out to you, man, for the email. I definitely appreciate that. I took your advice. The next part two it is, because this I'm gonna break down into 3 parts. Part 2 and 3 will not have any more ads. Huh? Huh? No more ads for you guys. Shout out to y'all, man. Thank y'all for sticking around. Thank y'all for sticking with me. I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that good stuff. But y'all not here for that. Y'all here for the video. So let's dive right into it. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, a courtship of rivals. Let's get it.
It all began here in Salt Lake City, Utah, on the night of March 26, 1979. It was the NCAA Championship, Indiana State versus Michigan State, a game that still ranks as the highest-rated college final ever on television.
Sheesh.
A game that's now remembered as a prologue to a rivalry that transformed a sport and intertwined 2 legacies. But on that night, March 26, 1979, the first time Magic Johnson and Larry Bird ever went head-to-head on a basketball court, they were simply 2 young men trying to win a very big ball game.
This is probably the biggest game I'll ever play in my life, and I just feel like, I'm representing not only myself, my team, but we're representing our school and our town, Terre Haute.
Well, it's a dream come true, really, for me. I won the state title back in my...
Yo, the hairstyles back then was crazy. They looked like a helmet on Magic's head. Hey, but it is kind of crazy though. They've been battling forever. Imagine that, battling with somebody forever, like since high school. And like y'all both at that level. I think Bird was a little better than Magic. That's just me. Relax. That is just me. Magic might be more accomplished, but I feel like Bird was actually the better player. But I mean, both of them on the same level to be going at it for that long. The NBA got lucky.
My home state, and then my next accomplishment was going to the NCAA and playing in a game like tonight in the finals.
They were 2 stars thrown together by the cosmos to compete, but only one of them had been groomed for the spotlight. In his case, it seemed since birth.
I think his upbringing in East Lansing really put that smile on his face in the beginning, and it never came off.
Born August 14th, 1959, Irvin Johnson grew up in Lansing, the gritty industrial capital city of Michigan. Raised under this little...
My fault. This whole thing is crazy. One's black, one's white, one's flashy, one's blue collar. It just worked. Like in every single way, this could have worked. This whole rivalry, it worked.
Little roof. He was one of Christine and Irvin Johnson Sr.'s 10 kids. Christine was a school custodian, while Irvin Sr. worked 2 jobs.
10 kids. Nah, I got 7. Okay. I feel your pain.
Nearly around the clock.
My father, he got up early every morning, 6 o'clock or so, and he went to work on his trash hauling truck every single day. Around noon, he would come home.
All 7 stay with me, by the way.
Catch a nap, and then he worked for General Motors for 30 years, and he won an award for never being late and never missed a day.
Dang.
As a youngster, Irvin displayed his own strong work ethic on the blacktop.
I was out there all day long. Before we went to school, the bus leave at 7:30. I was out there at 6:30 working on my game. My mother sometimes had to bring me food, or she would have one of my brothers and sisters go get that boy so he could eat something.
From a very young age, Irvin knew what he wanted to do. He had it all planned out.
Yo, they just not working like that no more, man. These hoopers nowadays, they ain't working like that no more. Sad, man.
My dreams were to play in the NBA and become a businessman.
The first neighborhood basketball powerhouse, Sexton High.
I knew the players, I knew the tradition. I wanted to be a part of that. And it was on the west side of town, which was at that time predominantly black.
But when Lansing, like many cities in the mid-70s, began busing to desegregated school system, Irvin's journey took an unexpected detour to a predominantly white school across town.
My first day at Everett High School was my first time I really had to understand there was a race problem. Nobody
I'm sorry, that's not funny. It's not funny. Racism is a real thing. It's still a real thing today. I ain't gonna dive all into that, but it's just crazy, man. This whole thing is just crazy. Like they went through it.
white would speak to anybody black, and nobody black would speak to anybody white.
A lot of racial tension, a lot of fights, rioting. They didn't want minorities there.
He kind of shrugged it off, and basically
Okay,
his
Magic.
attitude was, "Okay, well, I'll overcome this."
Whenever there was any racial problems, the principal would get Urban and go talk to these kids. I can just see him with his big hands. Calm down, just calm down. He'd break up fights.
Talk with his friends, tell him, let it go. We can't fight about everything. Let's just chill. Let's play basketball.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, man, because he ain't have to do that. Magic always had that in him.
And there was no dispute over Irvin Johnson's ability to play ball. His talent was so great
Okay.
that soon after his varsity debut, a local reporter, dazzled by his exploits, gave the budding star a nickname.
In the beginning, I thought it was foolish and dumb. I didn't know nothing about a nickname. Then what happened
Yo, is there a better nickname than that? Let me know.
was you start saying, wait a minute, it fits my game. Hanging out with my boys on the street corners, we used to sing Temptation songs. They started saying, hey, man, Magic, that's cool. And then people on the street start saying, hey, Magic. And I said,
He bought into it, and I think he felt he had to kind of live up to that name. And I must say that he did.
He loved it. The more attention he got, he wanted attention from anybody he could get it from.
Yeah, it does. I really love the game, and I just want to win.
Oh,
Irvin loved to dress. Nice sandal belt pants and overcoats with the fur around the collar. Always had to have his afro blown out.
yo, what a time. Look at that fro. Look at the shape, the circumference. Look at that. It's beautiful.
Now, he had to look the part, play the part.
Irvin was the first guy to have a posse. He not only had a posse of a lot of black kids, he had a lot of white kids hanging around him.
Magic was the guy.
my white friends were like, hey, man, we're having a kegger tonight. Won't you come on by? And I said, what's a kegger? So he said, well,
Stop
what
lying.
it is, we get this big keg of beer, and you just go for it. Okay. Well, what time does the kegger start? Because regular party time in our neighborhood is 10, 11 o'clock. The kegger starts at 7. I said, the party starts at 7 o'clock? I said, okay.
White people, y'all know y'all be on that. Don't lie. Y'all be on that, man. Y'all party hard, man. Y'all party hard.
Hey, man, I'm going to come to the kegger. We had a good time. The music was kind of bad, but we had a good time, you know.
His senior year, Johnson did at Everett what he had planned to do at Sexton, win the state championship. And when it came to choosing a college, he decided to stay where the love would be assured, home in Lansing.
Next year, I will be attending Michigan State University.
Oh.
At MSU, Magic's star quickly went national. But atop the college game, he soon discovered a certain presence beside him.
The first time I saw Larry Bird was actually in a magazine. Saw his stats, blown away by his stats. But let's see if he can really do it against us. And that's always a mindset of black players if he's a great white player.
In 1978, after his freshman year, Magic...
Yo, that's a fact. Like to this day, that's still like that's a fact.
Would quickly find out when both he and Bird were chosen to play for Team USA in the World Invitational Tournament.
They would put Larry Bird and I on the same team together to scrimmage, right? It was blowing my mind because he's dominating Jack Givens, Player of the Year in college basketball. Larry Bird is eating him alive. I couldn't wait to call home and tell my boys that this dude named Larry Bird is for real. This is the baddest white dude I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I thought he was very good. There's no question about it. I thought he's probably the best guard on the team.
Irvin Johnson, look at
that.
We didn't get to play a lot, but you could tell.
I think our first game was in Kentucky. We got about a 10, 12-point lead. Man, they put us in, went to 25, 30, just that fast.
Fast break again, 3-on-2. Griffith.
Give me that.
Larry Bird.
Take us out, the league go back down, put us back in.
That's Bird and Johnson.
The show started again.
When you play with Magic, there's just something about it. You want to make that extra pass. You want to get that rebound and start the break.
Some players just got that, man. There's a lot of players, a lot of great guards that can make, the whole team want to share the ball. And there's great defenders that make the whole team want to defend. Not all players have that in them, but some players just have that. You feel me? You just want to follow their lead almost. You know what I mean?
We came down a couple times. I go behind my back, no look at him. He no look back to me, and I'm laying it up. I said,
my God.
That last play, Magic Johnson going in, drops off the Bird, inside to Johnson, super bad.
This guy got game.
They had some wonderful moments on the court, but they probably spoke to each other 4, maybe 5 times during that entire time period. And it was more like, hello, how are you this morning, Larry? I'm good, Magic. What'd you have for breakfast? Don't remember. Have a nice day.
That's
but
crazy.
Such curtness was hardly strange coming from Larry Bird, who is not only one of college basketball's best players, but also its biggest enigma.
I think he was a mystery to the extent that he wanted to be a mystery. He didn't enjoy doing interviews. He didn't go out of his way to do them. He wasn't particularly good at them. He was kind of like, hey, this is who I am. You want to know who I am? Watch the game.
Why he gotta want to be a mystery though? Maybe that's just him. Not everybody need the lights and the camp. Not everybody need all that, man. Relax. We're not gonna disrespect the legend.
Game. That's who I am.
I start to read materials that you're very quiet and you don't enjoy talking to newspaper people.
Well, there's different kind of newspaper people. There's people that are trying to push you. There's people who try to get things out of you. Things don't even pertain to basketball, and them are the type of people I like to stay away from.
He didn't want people.
Oh, Larry was way beyond his years, wasn't he? Larry already knew the game.
People talking about his family. He didn't want his mother to have to deal with that or his siblings to have to deal with that.
You got to remember where Larry came from. You know, Larry was raised in a 2 or 3 room house on a railroad track. Their family probably lived on $50 a week. He was raised tough.
Larry Joe Bird grew up in southern Indiana, in the twin towns of French Lick and West Baden. The Valley, as locals call it, was a tough working class area. Tiny and remote, it was one of the poorest places in the state.
I didn't know that people made millions of dollars. I didn't know that everybody had a family car. I was in my own cocoon. I was in a small town with the people I knew, and I thought I would live there for the rest of my life.
Arriving Pearl Harbor Day
That's crazy.
1956, Larry was the fourth of 6 kids born to Georgia and Joe Bird. Early on, he and his older brothers earned a reputation around the valley.
We were always considered troublemakers. We're either fighting amongst ourselves or there was always one of us fighting somebody. Larry was always the one that kind of instigated things, you know.
Larry was running the streets. Oh, don't mess with them bird boys, you hear?
If I could get my brother in a fight with somebody his age, I was happy as hell because I like to see him get beat up, and that's just the way it was. If I got in a scrape with some kid and my brothers didn't come to my side, they knew that when he got home, my dad was going to whip him.
My dad was on that same type of time. If I'm not helping, they go for me or any of my brothers. We ain't do nothing, then we got to see Pops in that backyard, man. And you don't want to see Pops in that backyard.
Larry and my dad were best of friends. They done everything together. When my dad would go out to my grandma's house, Larry would always go with him. They'd go fishing, do a lot of things together.
But Joe Bird also had a darker side, stemming from a traumatic tour of duty in Korea.
Larry remembers waking up in the middle of the night, hearing his father's blood-curdling screams from the nightmares he had had from the war. What happened to his father in the war affected his entire life. He was never able to quite get rid of whatever those demons were.
A talented craftsman, Joe Bird struggled to hold steady jobs. And even when he was working, his demons would, on occasion, drive him to the bottle.
There were times.
Yo, if you're out there fighting for our country, you feel me? Salute to y'all. You know what I mean? If you need help, I hope you get it.
Times when Joe went out with the guys and had a few beers and the wages didn't come home that night. And that didn't happen every day. It happened once in a while, but when money is as tight as it was for the Birds, once in a while was a major problem for their family.
Dang.
My mom sometimes worked late and sometimes she had 2 jobs, but that's the way it was. I worked at school during my lunch hours, worked at the local grocery store, put up hay in the summer. I mean, if you wanted money, you had to get it on your own.
To young Larry, actions spoke louder than words.
He was very quiet, kind of hung to himself a little bit.
Man, Larry was going through it. I didn't know that.
Saw Larry take an F in an English class because he had to get up in front of his peers and give a speech. So I'm going to do it. He just could not get in front of his friends and talk. He was that shy.
Of course, next thing you know, when he knew it was time for all of us together at the gymnasium, there he'd be.
Whoa.
The minute
Yo, are y'all seeing that on the screen or is that my computer? Am I tripping?
He'd get a basketball in his hand. Things were totally different.
Basketball was just, it came to me, seemed like easy. I didn't have the quickness. I didn't have jumping ability. I just thought the game out.
By his senior year at Springs Valley High, Larry Bird had sprouted into a star. But Bird was from the Valley, hardly a hotbed of talent in the big-time world of Indiana hoops.
The first thing they say, well, they don't play nobody down there. He's from French Lick. They don't play nobody.
I think that put a chip on his shoulder always having to prove who he was and how good he was.
Yeah, that's tough when you play when you're really good and you play somewhere where the competition isn't. That's tough to deal with because a lot of people start questioning you, and man, sometimes you might even question yourself. Like, am I really as good as I think I am? You know, certain schools pass up on you, coaches pass up on you. That's tough.
He was good enough for Indiana University's Bobby Knight to come calling late his senior year. And folks in the Valley couldn't have been prouder. Their local hero was heading
Get out of here,
60 miles
Daisy.
north to play ball for one of the best college teams in the land.
Once I got to IU, it didn't take long to realize that I was out of my cocoon, had over 30-some thousand students, that I didn't have the funds. First week and a half, I thought, man, this ain't gonna work.
He left after 24 days.
Let my mother down. She didn't talk to me for 2 months. But it didn't matter what other people said. To this day, I don't care.
Back in French Lick, Bird took to working for the city, hauling trash and painting park benches. Meanwhile, by that winter, his father's demons had taken him to an even darker place.
By this point, Joe and Georgia were divorced, and he was behind in his payments to the family.
Yo, I'm sorry I'm not talking a lot, even though I kind of am talking a lot. But I'm also trying to listen, so my fault, y'all.
Police came by, and of course, they all knew him. So Joe said, hey, I need a few hours to get my affairs together before you take me away. So he called Georgia, and he said, you guys will be better off without me, and I'm going to take my life. And he put the phone down, and he killed himself. He shot himself.
When Dad passed, it hurt Larry. I mean, that was his best friend.
Yo, again, if you are dealing with some of these issues, man, reach out to somebody, find help. There's a lot of different places you can go and a lot of different places you can reach out to. So just putting that out there.
It's gone now. But Larry didn't show it a lot.
He just didn't say much. He just kind of held it within. I never heard him speak out about it at all.
I was mad when I heard about it, and I was madder after the funeral because I thought he sort of cut out on us during a tough time. But he went through a lot in his life. He did what he had to do.
That's tough.
If Bill Hodges hadn't been as persistent as he had been, Larry Bird might never have existed in any of our minds. I believe that with all my heart. I really do.
It was Bill Hodges, a young coach from Indiana State University, who convinced Bird to give college hoops another shot. So with a promise to his mom to graduate, Bird headed to Terre Haute and ISU, a school that never so much had been to the NCAA tournament.
Once I started playing, it's the same old thing. He's at a small school and he ain't playing against anybody, which is fine. Still dominated.
Wherever Hoosiers gather, they
I'm making a video right
talk
now.
of weather. Indiana has a new state bird. Now his claim to fame is just the way he plays the game. Indiana has a new state bird. It's not the Cardinal now. Hey Larry, take a bow. Indiana has a new state bird.
By the time he had led tiny ISU as a senior to a 33-0 record and a spot in the '79 title game, Larry Bird had become, alongside Magic Johnson, the talk of college basketball. Just a year after sharing the court on Team USA, they were back together. And the day before the big game, Magic couldn't wait to greet his old playmate.
Indiana State was on practicing, and we were waiting in the tunnel. We got there early. I wanted to definitely say hello to Larry, When they came through, it was like nobody was saying nothing. I wanted to go toward him. Like his guys, made sure that he didn't say nothing. And then they kind of started snickering, like, Michigan State, you in trouble. We're going to kill you guys tomorrow.
I probably did snub him. I don't remember it, but I'm sure I did. I didn't want any, like I call it love fest, hugging and slapping
Man.
high fives with the opponent. You're there for a reason. You're there.
Y'all hear that? He ain't here for no love fest, man. We ain't got to hug and take pictures together. We ain't got to shake hands. Huh? No, I don't want to sign your jersey. Man, we need to get back to that. Telling you, man, the AAU scene that made everybody all buddy, players kissing and hugging and all types of stuff before the game, after the game, online. Like, nah, I'm better than you. And I'm going to show it. Tired of it, man. This stuff's so soft, man.
You're there to win a game.
That just said it's on now.
It is
Almost
Indiana
fell out
State
the
against
chair.
Michigan State. I'm Bryant Gumbel, and the fans here are going bananas.
I mean, let's face it, if Larry Bird were black and came from Chicago, it wouldn't have been as big a deal. They were polar opposites. One black, one white.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fact, though. I mean, race definitely played a factor in this for sure.
White, one outgoing, one shy. That was the charm of the attraction.
The Bird against Magic. All of the superlatives have been used, and believe me, all of them have been warranted.
Heading into the tournament, Magic was the bigger star, but by tip-off, it was Bird. Having hardly missed a shot in the semifinal, would become the focus of fans, and more importantly, of Michigan State.
We actually had two men on Larry everywhere he went.
There he is, Dick. Look at him having sandwiched in.
Ah, yeah, that's what we
didn't play a
on.
box on one. You know, 4 guys on Larry and 1 on the other 4, because they didn't have a lot of talent. You know, if you stop Larry, you pretty much stop them.
Look at the pressure around him. 2-3 men, and he's short.
I didn't play well at all. Biggest game of my life, I didn't play well.
Bro, you was double teamed all game. Yo, the grades are just different. It's something just different in their head. Something is wired different. He talking about I ain't play well. Bro, they was doubled. He just said it. They was double teaming you the whole game. Larry, you still mad? Like, man, I ain't play. Like, of course not.
I think our length and our size, our jumping ability was able to bother him.
I didn't shoot well. Missed, I think, 3 free throws.
Larry Bird has had a cold shooting night.
I battled him, but I didn't have it.
Oh. Oh.
It's all over. Michigan State University, national champions, 1979.
Magic, not only were you a leader on offense, I thought you did a great job on Larry Bird in the zone, denying him the ball.
Yes, Coach gave us a good game plan to go against Larry Bird, and all we had to do was go out and do it. That's what we done.
Congratulations, Super Bowl game.
Dang.
It was over, you know. That was my 4 years. I was done. It still hurts. And when you win 33 in a row and you walk into a game, you know, you never know what to expect.
Daisy, no.
I expect to win. We didn't win.
Yeah, that's tough. 33 straight.
Toughest loss I ever took.
I knew it was going to haunt him forever because we were going to see each other a lot.
Sheesh.
The National Basketball Association, in its 33rd season, is troubled by diminishing crowds and declining television ratings, signs that fan interest may be waning.
If college basketball was flourishing at the end of the 1970s, the pro game was crumbling. After the golden era of Bill Russell and Jerry West in the 1960s, a merger with the ABA in 1976 had led not only to new teams, but a new temperament.
Oh.
It was a new league with new times, with renegades, with individuals.
There was an argument made, plausibly, I think, that it was too black a league for the United States of America in the late 1970s.
Why they always doing us like that? The all black Knicks. What? Oh man, I wish I could find this article.
70s.
You think about the Knickerbockers at the time. The running joke was it was the Knickerbockers. You know, that's what it was. It was the N-word.
It's turning off a lot of white customers that are coming to the game, you know.
Why?
I think there's a conflict between the white and the black, and I don't enjoy going to basketball and seeing all black players.
I mean, I think it's when they
Ignorance at its finest. Hey, shout out to her. That's a good reporter right there. She said, "Why?
Huh?
Why, sir?" And then he answered it like a dummy. He's supposed to say, "Oh man, these prices are getting crazy." You could have said anything. You could have said anything. Bet you like watching now. Well, maybe not.
they said too black, they meant not just in terms of color, but in terms of style. Let me get mine, and the hell with yours.
George
Basketball
Gervin.
for us was about the best moves. You wanted to be that big player that everybody
Daisy,
talked about. You
get out
wanted
of
to
my
be
room.
the one. You didn't think about winning championships or team play.
And those were just the issues on the court.
The NBA had this image of
NBA definitely had a drug problem.
an all-black league with a bunch of guys who did drugs. The teams were losing money, and they had no sponsors, and that's pretty much a death knell right there.
It's a known fact that you need your white superstars. You just need more white ball players on the team for the white fans to identify with.
And in the newest member of the Boston Celtics, that's exactly what the league appeared to be getting.
There's hope he can help solve professional basketball's difficulties, which some say are compounded by a question of black and white.
The Great White Hope. What does that mean?
Well, you know, it's very hard to say because there's a lot of great white players around, and I just hope that I can just fit in as well as some of them that has fit in.
He ran away from that designation. He made it very clear, almost from day one, that he was not the Great White Hope.
You know, the great players are the black players, and they're the best.
Such deference meant little to black.
Yo. Larry was ahead of his time, bro. He's handled all these interviews perfectly.
Black Celtics like Curtis Rowe, Sidney Wicks, and Cedric Maxwell, who looked at Bird and saw not the Great White Hope, but another case of Great White hype.
He didn't impress me no more than any white guy I've ever seen play before. I think that you would say that most black players at the time were racist in the sense that we did not think that you could find a white guy who could play better than any black guy.
When I walk in the first day of camp, them guys were on the floor stretching, and here comes the white savior, here comes this, here comes that. I sort of enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. That's a lot. That's a lot to put on somebody, bro. Especially the league full of black players. Y'all going around talking about this is the Great White Hope. White. This is the greatest white player ever. He's gonna save the league, make the league white. That's a lot of pressure they put on Larry.
I knew I was going to battle them all day. But Curtis and Sidney didn't last long. They didn't make it through the first practice, and they were cut. So then it was just Cedric.
I'm thinking, oh, he's slow. He can't get up a shot. He's not that strong. This is going to be a layup. Bam. Knocks down the jump shot. Okay. Maybe that was luck. Gets the ball again. Bam. Knocks down another jump shot. Now I'm thinking like, okay, hey, you know what? I'm going to D this guy up. I'm just showing his life. 20 feet away. Bam. 25 feet away. Bam. My mind just goes to the, damn, this white guy can play.
It was a good thing, too. The storied Celtics might have been the winningest team in NBA history, but they were fresh off their worst season in 30 years. And in Bird, they had a player who was not only supremely talented, but tough enough to take on any challenge.
They always played like everybody in the world was against me.
Whoa! Oh!
I thought everybody was against me. Used to make up things to get me rattled before a game.
He knew how to fight. I know that from off the floor. One night, somebody was giving one of his buddies a hard time, and Larry went over and, said, hey, this is my friend, and this guy was a pretty good sized guy.
Oh, Larry, you was on that. Larry was on that.
They go out back, and the guy turns and says something to Larry. Larry hit this guy, and I caught him. Hit him so hard, I go, whoa. He was from the old school, and that's how he played.
Larry Bird.
That is how he played.
Played the game hard. Played rough.
There was no frills about him. He came in, he threw elbows. There was nothing smooth about Larry.
Larry. Yo, I love the heart, the effort, the determination, bro. I love it. I love it. I love it. You feel me? I love it. But Larry.
There was no frills about him. He came in, he threw elbows.
Larry.
There was nothing smooth.
You had no chance in saving this ball.
About Larry.
Larry. Larry, come on, bro. Oh, man. But that's what we loved about him, though, right? That's what we loved about him. You know what I mean? Had he, I guess, not played as hard, maybe he has a longer career. But that's not why we rock with Larry Bird.
New Englanders like that. They're hardworking people. That's how people view them. And that's what Larry was.
It's that left hand, John. Yep. Oh.
They also like
winning. Give me that.
When Bird led the Celtics to the NBA Championship in just his second season, he was finally one of those two. Boston loved Larry Bird. It just wasn't so clear at first how much Bird loved the city back.
There's only one place I'd rather be, French Lick. Thank you.
Man, Larry was almost agoraphobic in his treatment of anything outside his hometown.
He wanted to be the Wizard of Oz. He wanted to intimidate people and keep them at bay. The further we are away from each other, the more I like it.
I had a nice little house. I had my little yard. I want to go from there to practice back. If I had a game coming up, I want to go there to the game and back home. It was all basketball. My whole life was basketball.
If he was just sitting there with just me, you were looking around mumbling, trying to find things that we had in common that we could talk about. Now, we started talking about basketball, started talking about players. It was, it was great. U.S. history? No.
We forced passes, we made errors down the stretch.
Daily events? No.
I made the shot, and from then on, we was up by 2, and they had to get back in the game, which they did.
Politics? No.
Try to not do anything I can't do or do no more than what I can do. I just go out and try to do my basic game.
He proudly dubbed himself the Hick from French Lick, and he looked every bit the part. But those who played him for simple did so at their own peril.
One of the great ways, I think, of winding up with no money in your pocket is to think Larry Bird is dumb. Syntax is not intelligence. unlettered is not stupid.
He's got a great sense of humor. He just didn't show that to people. That didn't mean he didn't have it.
He did, however, allow the public one small indulgence.
You could come out on Saturday and watch him mow his lawn.
Huge crowd stood to stop. Larry Bird's cutting grass in front of his house. He's mowing his lawn in the springtime.
Larry is about doing things himself. And I think it's one of the things that made him so beloved in Boston.
But as Bird navigated through his new world, he still had one eye fixed on a familiar foe in a faraway land.
Yo, this is pretty good.
What tripped me out was I'm riding in the limo, and I'm seeing orange trees and lemon trees in people's front yards. I said, stop, I gotta go pick an orange. Are you crazy? I said, no, I gotta do this. And so I ran up like a scared little kid, grabbed the orange and ran back to the limo. I'd never seen an orange tree. I'd never seen a lemon tree.
Yo, they were so different, but yet so similar. It's really crazy.
I was fascinated.
When 20-year-old Irvin Johnson arrived in Los Angeles in the fall of 1979, he was a world away from Lansing, the only home he'd ever known. He was the #1 pick of the LA Lakers, a once dominant franchise stuck in mediocrity. In the stoic Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the Lakers had talent, was energy. Irvin Magic Johnson was only too happy to provide it.
Lit the place up. Changed the franchise, changed the temperament. I changed it from the very first game.
Lakers win.
Here it was, the first game of a long season against the lowly Clippers. And Magic was embracing Kareem as if they'd just won their 10th straight championship. It was like, man, this is a different kind of dude.
From the day he arrived, he became the prince of the city. He reminded me of a guy who wakes up without an alarm clock. And that's what I used to always say. I want to be happy enough to wake up without an alarm clock because I want to go into my work.
Yeah, that's dope.
He had it, what it is. As far as I was concerned, the it was not his ability or his size. The it was his attitude, was his leadership, was his mind. I mean, I don't have to talk about Game 6 in Philadelphia.
Magic Johnson will jump.
In his rookie season, Magic had helped lead the Lakers to the NBA Finals against the Philadelphia 76ers. In Game 6, with an injured Abdul-Jabbar back home in LA, Magic played all 5 positions, scored 42 points, grabbed 15 rebounds, and dished out 7 assists, leading the Lakers to the championship. In just 4 years, he had won titles in high school, college, and the pros.
Magic, what do you have that makes you perform like this in these championship games?
Well, I don't know. Just I love to win. Across the masthead of the Los Angeles Times the next day, it said, "It's Magic."
He was a star when he first arrived here, coming off the NCAA game. And quickly during that first season, he became one of the stars in town. But that game put him on another level. That made him the star in town.
Yeah, man, for all my young hoopers out there, you gotta perform when the lights are the brightest. You got to. That's like the fork in the road. Are you gonna be known as this player or one of these players?
It's funny
Magic always performed.
how I wanted to meet the celebrities, but they wanted to meet me. I was like shocked. Like, wow, you know who I am?
He was young, famous, and after Lakers owner Jerry Buss signed him to a 25-year, $25 million contract, very rich. The kid from Lansing was ready to sample a different kind of fruit. His playboy boss knew all the ripest trees.
I said, oh, I'm hanging with him. When they were coming into the box and he had 10, 20 of them, and look, Irvin, which one you want? And I was like, oh, okay, it's like that. And then he said, I'm going to take you to the Playboy Mansion. What? The mansion?
Yo, Magic was having a time of his life. The time of his life. Crazy, man. These stories are just like the difference in these stories is like crazy.
No, you're kidding. I said, yep. So I went there, and my first time, I'm backing up like, I can't believe I'm in it, but I'm backing up away. You know, it's like, I'm scared to death. Probably 10 guys to 100 women, you know. Everybody think it's sex-driven, but it's really not. You have dinner, then you watch the latest movie. And then, of course, I don't want to ever say that sex wasn't involved, because if you meet somebody, that's what, you know, you wanted to do. You did that, but
Cap. Come on, Magic. Come on, Magic. We adults, man. Keep it real.
but it's really a great experience to go up there. So yeah, I had fun there.
He came to LA like the Pied Piper. You know, people were giving him this and giving him that, but you know, he stayed pretty grounded to the game.
Everybody was getting high then, but you can't even smoke a joint around Magic.
He had real old school, down in the trenches work ethic, and that was honed in him by his dad, Irvin Johnson Sr.
Magic was always this guy. You know, he never did none of that, so I did everything for him.
Magic Johnson was living on a natural high. He was starring in the role of a lifetime, point guard of a Hollywood team with an offense called Showtime. He even had the alter ego perfect for the production.
I mean, Magic was his stage name. Even he would laugh about it.
Well, he always says there's two people. There's Irvin Johnson from East Lansing, and there's Magic Johnson from Hollywood.
Irvin Johnson is another guy. You know, here's Magic over here, and here's Irvin over here.
Irvin is this fun-loving guy. Magic was so serious and dedicated to his game, and he was a crazy, crazy competitor and a crazy man.
Irvin, I think, is the smiling kid from Lansing. I think Irvin died about 25 minutes after the NCAA Championship game.
Irvin doesn't have the ego that Magic has. Magic got a crazy ego, and winning is everything.
And Irvin wanted to, along with Magic, conquer LA.
Yeah, people think just because Magic was like so fun loving and they forget the competitive side. Magic was a dog.
After having led the Lakers to 2 NBA titles in their first 4 years in town, Magic and Irvin were well on their way.
Yeah, Magic was a dog.
I think Magic wanted to be friends with Larry Bird. He wanted to be friends with him on the World Invitational Tournament, and Larry just wasn't very receptive. I think he wanted to be friends with him during the Final Four. Larry wouldn't even go over and shake his hand. So now Magic's saying, well, what's with this guy? Everybody loves me. How come you don't love me? And then they get to their rookie year, the first time they play each other, well, they have a very hard foul. And they have to be separated a little bit. And Magic's like, all right, well, the heck with this guy. You don't like me? Fine. All right, good. I don't like you either.
You know, he's a very competitive player, and I'm a very competitive player. And we go head to head, and we go for blood almost.
The vibe was nasty. It was ugly. It was we didn't like each other.
I'm the one that did all that. To tell you the truth, it was. I just want to be hanging around it. I mean, that was my main competition.
Yo, I love Larry Bird. I just ain't want to be hanging around him. Like, I don't fool with you. Like, he knows, like, that's his competition. I respect it.
And he couldn't escape the memory of losing to him in 1979.
Oh, it ate at him bad that he didn't win that national title against Magic. That was something just burning.
It was one thing for them to be in the 79 championship. Magic had the better team. Everybody agreed with that. Magic had the better game. Fine. Now you get to the pros. Larry has this incredible year. But there he is watching in a club while Magic Johnson wins a championship, and he's thinking, all right, I'm behind 2-0 now.
I watched that game and I couldn't believe it.
Oh,
I always wanted to play at that level.
But what Bird couldn't possibly have known was that he had inspired Magic's performance when he was named Rookie of the Year earlier that same day.
The PR person from the Lakers says, hey, Irvin, the Rookie of the Year voting has come out. And Magic says, okay, well, who won? He said, well, Larry Bird won. And Magic says, well, was it close? And he said, oh, no.
Dang.
He went out that day, yes, to try to win the NBA championship, but also to prove it to one Larry Bird. You know what?
That's crazy.
I should have been Rookie of the Year.
Even though I won the championship, I still wanted to win the Rookie of the Year too.
He won that championship. I was pissed. I want him one.
But even after he had won one the next year, his obsession only grew deeper.
I'd get up in the mornings and see what he did because their games came on late. Then you look at the box score. I had to have him there for some reason.
Yo, all the greats do this. If you say you don't, it's cap. All the greats, all the real competitors do this. We all checking each other out to see what's going on. Just saying. I used to all the time.
Like a crutch. Somebody I can compare myself to.
I hated what was being said that Larry was better than me, and I'm just a guy who can control the game. My first 4 or 5 years, that bothered me a lot. I didn't tell nobody it bothered me, but it did.
Their competitive dislike emerged from a greater truth, that on the court, they were doppelgangers. Team-oriented stars who cared about winning above all else. Basketball savants who fused the substance of the 60s with the style of the 70s to create a new and exciting yet selfless way to play the game in the 1980s.
Yeah, I'm going to pass. But I'm going to pass in a way to make you look like a jackass.
Oh.
They were so similar in the way they competed. I mean, they were two halves of the same brain.
Same craziness to excel.
I seen that first couple of days I was with him.
Basketball IQ
Oh.
off the chart.
Seen the game a little different, most players.
Playing the game the right way was everything.
A lot of guys can just score. A lot of guys can just rebound. A lot of guys can just make plays. We can do it all.
Larry and Magic controlled the game with 12 shots. It was amazing. They'd be 7 for 12. They'd have 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 12 assists. And you go, man, the guy shot the ball 12 times and was the best player on the court by far.
I think it was tough at first. I don't think.
Now that's crazy. And that's what I be saying about LeBron. Yeah, I brought him up. I said it. If you can take 10, 12 shots and be the best player on the floor, like a Jason Kidd, you know, players like that, that is impressive. That's impressive.
Either one of them wanted to recognize that they had any equal anywhere in what they did. But they sure as hell didn't want to recognize that their equal happened to be that other guy.
That's why we hated each other too, because we knew we were mirrors of each other.
I think for a while the two of them had to come to grips with that.
They had begun changing the game, but with continued low television ratings and tape-delayed finals, the league was struggling to get the word out.
Bro, tape-delayed finals? What?
When the NBA and CBS signed a new TV deal for the 82-83 season, the rescue plan was simple. Sell more Bird and Magic, and sell them not just as ball players, but as arch-rival characters in their own dramatic saga.
Facts.
This slick Showtime African-American guy out west.
Oh, what the
lunch
left?
bucket, floppy-haired white guy with the bruises all over his body. It's central casting. It's perfect.
I mean, this was like made in heaven. In 1979, this idea of Magic and Bird was created. And so that was sort of a no-brainer. We'd have a doubleheader. It would be the Celtics playing first and the Lakers playing second. And that's the way we did it.
And when the Celtics and Lakers both reached the finals just a year into the new TV deal in 1984, it appeared the superstar investment was about to pay off.
It was huge. It was probably the biggest moment the NBA had up to that point. You had Boston and LA, East against West. It had all the elements of a classic showdown,
including what was becoming the most inescapable element of all.
Did we know that blacks and whites were lining up? The whites with the Celtics, the blacks with. Of course, we knew that.
Facts.
Even in the Celtics' own backyard.
They land at Logan Airport at the 84 finals. He's getting accosted by various people who are telling him Larry's going to take him down. But this one older African-American gentleman comes up to me and goes, Magic, I want to wish you well. Good luck. I want you to crush the Celtics. And he said, oh, well, where are you from? He said, well, I'm from Boston. And he said, you're from Boston and you're rooting for the Lakers? I thought everybody here was crazy about the Celtics. And he looked right at me and he said, now, why would I root for those white boys?
Boston, after all, was a town still scarred by the ugly busing crisis of the mid-70s. A violent period of urban unrest during which white had been pitted against black. The resulting taint on the city nationally, coupled with a Boston roster littered with white players, affirmed to many black Americans that the Celtics were not the team for them.
Even today, people said, you played with the Celtics. And, I hated you at that time. I wanted Magic to win. I didn't want that damn Larry Bird to win. We had all these black players, but they looked at us because we had Larry Bird leading us as a team that was white.
They were perfect archetypes for what was becoming the biggest story.
Oh, man. Well, that is it. We're going to stop it right there, y'all, before we actually get into them hooping against each other in the playoffs. Man, shout out to y'all, man. I really appreciate y'all. If y'all want to see part 2, let's do, where we at, man? Let's do 100 likes. Get this to 100 likes, and I will drop part 2. All right? Coach Wiz, I am your personal trainer for basketball players. Specifically, if you need help with that, email. All my socials are in the description. Shout out to y'all. Have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Stay safe. Stay blessed. Much love.